One.
Hey, Mark with High Energy Labs here. I have a fantastic good friend and amazing guest on the show today, Sam Fox.
How's it going?
And we are going to be talking about nutrition, like are supplements really necessary, what you should be taking, and for our media moment, we are going to be showing you what true happiness looks like through an electron microscope. Stay tuned.
It's amazing.
Welcome back. Hey, Sam, I want to just have people give a little bit of your background because we've met, what was it, like 6 months ago, and Sam has this, like, he's very knowledgeable about nutrition. And, you know, me owning a supplement company, I've researched this and looked into this and worked for multiple larger corporations in the past. And I've just been amazed at the knowledge that you have. And we've had some very in-depth conversations about supplementation and, you know, why it's necessary, or dieting and what type of foods that people should be taking. So I wanted people out there watching, you know, if you have any comments for us, you know, let us know. Or feel free to leave comments at the end of the show if you're watching this later, to, you know, leave a comment there for Sam or I, and we'll try to get back to you and answer your question. But today, we want to just kind of get into it. We mentioned the teaser. I came across this video yesterday, and it's hilarious. I was like, are you kidding me? Is this like a CGI image? And so I want to show people our media moment here of this little video that we came. And what it is, what you're going to be looking at is it's through an electron microscope. It's an endorphin being transferred to the cerebral cortex of the brain along a myosin protein chain, and it's pretty cool. Roll that clip for us. Like some CGI image, but it's not. I actually saw that years ago, guys, and Sam was like, "Is that real?" He's like, what is this? You know, he just thought it was like a CGI image or something like that, but it's an actual electron microscope showing that endorphin being transferred, and that's what, guys, that is what true and real happiness looks like. Right?
Just one foot in front of the other, right? Just keep going.
It's crazy, man. So anyways, let's like just kind of dive right into it. We were talking a little bit about this like yesterday, where you know, people want to know, there's so many supplements out there. Yeah. There's so many products, and people are like, what do I take? How do I know what to take? I don't know what to look at on the label. You know, it's like, okay, people are calling stuff out, and like you'll have formulas that call out the entire formulation. You'll have stuff that is hidden behind proprietary blends. Yeah. You know, and usually in most cases when they're doing that, they are, you know, they're hiding it behind a proprietary blend because they're hiding something in most cases. Yeah. In some cases, it's like, okay, it could be such a high-end complex formula that they don't want competitors to copy it. Right. So that does happen in some cases. And, you know, we've done that originally in the past, but now we just want to be very truthful, you know, very truthful with our labeling guidelines, and we call everything out. Mm-hmm. And so everything that's in there, people know what they're getting. They're getting how many milligrams or grams of amino acids or whatever that they're taking. But here's the problem. So there is a recommended daily allowance, right? So, for example, let's use vitamin C, for example. Okay. Someone takes 60 milligrams of vitamin C. That's a recommended daily allowance. Mm-hmm. That 60 milligrams is going to stop you from what? Getting scurvy, getting sick, maybe, supposedly.
Like, who knows what those are based on?
Yeah, so it's a minimal amount. The way I look at it is like, look, this is the smallest amount that you should be getting of a recommended daily allowance. It doesn't mean, okay, if you take 60 milligrams, you're going to be in optimal health. No. Right. Because most people have agreed, and most studies say, yeah, you should be getting 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And if you're sick, I double up, dude. I'll take like 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
Well, and even like the source. So there's, whole
Totally.
plant extracts. There's ascorbic acid.
Yeah.
And many in between. And so it's...
There's vitamin C from citrate, which is water-based. It's more bioavailability.
Yep.
It's
and
more absorbable.
What's the other one? What's the fat-soluble one? Starts with a P?
Hold on now, I can't think. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyways, regardless, there's multiple forms of it, and then there's also other ingredients that you need to add to that bioavailability. For example, like vitamin C would be bioflavonoids. Yep. That's like the whole extracts and parts of the plant that your body is making use of, rather than just that chemical compound of ascorbic acid.
Right. And so interesting. So kind of just looking at nature, how they do this. So we talked about vitamin C and bioflavonoids. So one example of what that looks like in nature is the orange. So we all know the fruit of the orange has a lot of vitamin C in it. Well, that white stuff surrounding it, that's where the bioflavonoids are. Yeah. And so those that want all of that white stuff as much as possible, I totally get it, we're actually taking off the bioflavonoids. And so even though we're eating nature's fruit, we're not eating all of it to get all those parts we need. Right. And so actually I have a niece.
The pulps, people they'll strain it out and take out all that pulp and take out all the fiber. And some of my kids are like, I don't like the pulp in it. I love the pulp. To me, it's really good, and it's actually healthier, and you're getting more fiber there.
Right.
So look at that. Like when you're eating whole foods and buying whole foods, is it filtered out? Because there used to be this whole juice craze, where everyone was juicing.
Right.
Well, yeah, you're just like
Which
getting
has
all the
place,
carbs. There's a place for that. But for the most
though.
part, you wouldn't want to do that on a regular basis, or just make juice your diet. Because basically, you're getting the nutrients in the juice, but you're also missing the fiber, and the fiber is a valuable part. And most Americans are deficient in fiber. We don't get enough fiber in our daily diets.
Yeah.
And that leads to cardiovascular disease.
Right. Another thing, I can't remember the name of the fiber, but there's a particular fiber in the skin of apples. I know often I've seen people.
Is that the pectin? No?
I think it's different. But anyways, there's a particular fiber in the skin that is really beneficial for the body, and I know I've seen quite a bit of people.
Because most apples are skinned, that's good.
So just another example of where.
But don't eat the core, because an apple tree will grow in your stomach if you eat the seeds.
Right.
Like watermelons.
Yeah.
There are little kids. I believed that when I was little. My mom used to tell me that. She's like, "Don't eat the core. An apple tree will grow in your stomach if you swallow the seeds."
That's funny.
So what were you saying now? Go back to that as far as the whole nutrient or part of the food.
Yeah, so even if we're eating, the whole Mother Nature, an apple or an orange, let's eat all of it. And I know we have different preferences. And, what I'll say to that is I probably about 6-7 years ago, I started to intentionally influencing my taste buds by finding out what was good for me and saying, this is what I want in my body. And our taste buds do change, and they can change quite rapidly if we choose something wholeheartedly for our body.
Are you talking about like palate? Because sometimes there'll be things when you're younger you liked, when you get older you don't like them, or you hated when you were younger and then you love them later.
Right.
Maybe like peas or something like that, or your carrots, because little parents are always trying to get kids to eat their vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my smoothie that I've been, I'm just keeping it super simple right now, but the amount. So I get Costco, the Power Greens. They have chard, spinach,
kale,
and kale, I believe, in it. And
those are
I think
good.
they're about a 2-pound thing.
You made the other day.
And I will use a third of that bag in one of my smoothies. So. Just under 3/4 of a pound of greens, like way more than anyone's making in a salad or whatever. And that's a lot of greens. And, I'll just do not even
but you're not juicing them either. You're blending them up.
Yeah,
so you're getting the fiber, you're getting all the nutrients, everything there.
And I'll do a handful of frozen blueberries, smaller than a handful, and then a handful of frozen strawberries. But then for a little bit more sweetness, I have some vanilla stevia, the liquid. Mm-hmm. And so, it's still, to most people, it would taste really rough and very green. I mean, that's a lot of greens to not many fruits. And blueberries and strawberries, not that sweet anyways. So I'm like, this is what I choose for my body. And so it doesn't have the adverse effect.
Yeah, we talked, one thing to be cautioned though, yes, it's good to listen to your body when it comes to like Whole Foods or things that you are craving. But if you like start craving pizza or if you start craving Twinkies or things like that, no, there's a reason that your body is craving those things. And primarily, it's because it's craving fat. So like on the show last time, I had another guest on and we were talking about your body craving fat and carbs. And the reason is because your brain is set up to crave carbs and fats because that's what's in breast milk. And breast milk is very high in carbs and very high in fat. So our brains are kind of pre-programmed for that. So when you are craving fats, look for healthy fats. Yeah. You know, it's probably because you are low on fish oil, omega-6s or different fatty acids. So,
avocados.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so man. Avocados, if I start craving fats or sugar, usually those two are correlated together. Yeah. So like when you start having these sugar cravings, it's hard to tell whether you're really craving sugar or whether you're craving fat. And I would say in most of the time, your body doesn't want the carbs. It doesn't need the carbs because we get so many from everywhere else. It's really craving the fat. So look for avocados, take fish oil and coconut oil. I used to find that like when I was doing the keto diet for a while, I would just like, okay, I'm craving sugar. I want like candy or ice cream or something like that. I would just take like a spoonful of coconut oil and that would kill it. I'd be like, oh man, I'm fine. I'm no longer having that craving because you've got those fats.
And for you vegans, red algae oil, that'll have your DHA and EPA in it. Good source of it. So instead of the fish. So then another thing is, so basically we started out this show. People are going, what should I take on a regular basis? What should I be taking? What am I just wasting my money on? So for example, I came across this study a while ago where they were talking about Centrum. Yeah. And basically the majority of these Centrum vitamins, multivitamins, were ending up in the toilet, and they were just passing through their body. So one thing that you need to be cautious. Like not even fully broken down.
Yeah, not even broken down. And the reason is when you take these natural substances or ingredients and you compact them into, it's like under 2,000 pounds of pressure. They're compacting these into a tablet, which the key test to your multivitamin or supplements, drop it in water and see how long it takes before it breaks down. If you want to know, I've done this to a Centrum or some of these like compressed multivitamin pills, and they do not break down. They just sit there in that water. And so, that's a good test. And one thing to realize though is a lot of these supplements, and that's why we don't do tablets for high energy labs. We do capsules, we do veggie caps, so they're broken down and absorbed immediately into the system and into the gut. But a lot of these tablets are so compressed, and then they cover them with shellac. It's a food grade shellac, but it's basically, like shellac you would paint. Yeah, it waterproofs it. It's like what you put, and it's really to protect the capsule in case it gets wet or it stops it from being shaken up because of shipping. A lot of times in shipping, these things get broken down and things like that. And so, avoid products like that you're just, a lot of times just wasting your money on. Yeah. And then, so what do you usually tell people? There's certain things that I tell people that they should be taking on a regular basis. I want to hear your take on it.
To be honest, like the way I really run my life is very intuitive based, and so it can change from moment to moment. Mm-hmm. But I mean, a DHA and EPA, omega-3 oil. That's super important.
That's
for your
usually
brain.
what I tell people. I'm like, find a good fish oil, or if you don't want.
That's the protection around every cell of your body, and then highly concentrated in the brain. So, protection of every cell, and protection for your brain. Like that's really important.
Sure.
What else?
What's your take on multivitamins?
I haven't done them in a long time.
Right. Here's my thought on them. The majority of them are. They're not bioavailable. Right. So for example, if we're getting zinc, it's just the raw material of zinc. It's not a citrate, where it's more water soluble. And that's true with a lot of these. So guys, read your labels, look into exactly what's in there and don't just go by the RDA. Right. so yes, find a good multivitamin in a capsule form. You're going to pay more money for it, but it's going to prevent you from getting diseases or other problems, or there's studies showing that there are certain vitamins that prevent and protect against cancer. So one thing I guess kind of the platform is like, look, find a good fatty acid to take, whether that's fish oil or omega, whether that's barley or whatever you want to take it from. And then secondly, a good multivitamin. And then I believe the reason that we want to supplement is to treat specific conditions or to prevent against illnesses. So for example, if we are over pushing our joints and overtraining our joints on a regular basis, we do a lot of running or long distance running, or we're just hitting the gym every day and we're going super heavyweight, we're putting a lot of stress and a lot of strain on our joints. Yeah. Whether you're mountain climbing, rock climbing, whatever that is, I believe in that case, you should be preventing yourself from getting arthritis later on in life. And to do that, you'd want to find a good joint product. We have an amazing one called Multiflex, and it's all natural anti-inflammatories. It works immediately right away. And it has an ingredient called green lip mussel in it. We talked a little bit about green lip mussel yesterday. It's a shellfish that's farmed out of New Zealand. And what it does is it replaces the synovial fluid that surrounds the joint. And then secondly, it helps rebuild the cartilage that's been broken down. Because if we're not, and the thing is, like if you're not sleeping well, you're not repairing your body, because that's when human growth hormones are released. So we want to make sure that we're getting, or our bodies are releasing optimum amounts, or that we're providing these building blocks for our bodies to produce more. And it really comes down to what you put in your body. So look for, pharmaceutical grade, clinical doses, patented ingredients, basically high quality supplements that are being absorbed. There's more bioavailability there. And that's what we kind of pride ourselves with High Energy Labs on all of our supplements. But enough of the push for the supplements. What I want to run, I thought this was an interesting story. It's kind of anti-supplementation. And, I believe in that. We'll talk a little bit about anti-supplementation and kind of my take on this. And then Sam will give his take, kind of on this as well, because we had a conversation about, where we get our whole foods and, organic ingredients or stuff like that. But let's run this clip. It's about 2-3 minutes long.
That multivitamin you've been taking every morning may be doing you more harm than good. And needless to say, it could be a complete waste of money, according to new research just published in a scientific journal. We'll have the skinny on that and more right here, right now on the News Hub. Good morning and welcome. I'm Simon Constable, and we've got the Wall Street Journal's Gene Whalen, who's been digging into the vitamin, whatever you call it, mystery. Gene, thanks for being there.
Sure.
Sure. So this new study says you can take all these vitamins, they're not really going to do you much good. Why is that? What's happening?
Right, so there were 2 studies published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, the medical journal. One showed in a very large population that a multivitamin did not slow cognitive decline over a long period of time when compared to a placebo. And the other study showed that a multivitamin did not improve cardiovascular health also over a long period of time. So both studies concluded that there wasn't much benefit in using the multivitamin for trying to prevent those chronic diseases.
What's amazing here is that people spend an enormous amount of money on these supplements, $23 billion a year, 23.4 in 2012, which is an enormous amount of money, and people aren't really getting any benefit from it. But we also know something, that people aren't getting the nutrients they need from the food they eat. So this is the wrong way to go, right?
That's kind of a curious paradox. I asked the same questions yesterday. I said to some of these doctors I interviewed, well, surely we all know Americans eat junk food. They don't get enough fruits and vegetables. So aren't we undernourished? And most of them essentially said no. We do get an adequate amount of vitamins and minerals in our diet, even though we eat poorly. And that you really only see people with real vitamin deficiencies in places where they're truly not getting enough to eat, such as parts of Africa or Asia.
Okay. Tell us about the Centrum Silver study, because this one was, as far as I'm reading it, was a little more, well, anyway, it wasn't conclusive in quite the same way as the first study.
No, I would say they were probably both pretty conclusive. The study that used Centrum Silver was the study in patients that were tested for cognitive function. So there were several thousand patients in the study. They were split into two groups, one given Centrum Silver, the other given placebo. And then their cognitive function, their ability to recall things and to reason, was tested at the outset of the trial and once every couple of years for 12 years. And the vitamin did not help slow down cognitive decline when compared to the placebo. So that was a pretty clear result. Maybe what you're referring to is that a different study last year, also using Centrum Silver, did show that the multivitamin moderately decreased patients' risk of developing cancer. And that was one study that has contradicted most of the other body of evidence showing multivitamins really not being of much use against chronic disease.
And this has been going on for quite a while. They've been doing this sort of work and looking into it in quite a detailed way.
That's right. There have been dozens and dozens of studies now of single vitamins, fewer studies, big studies of multivitamins, although that's changing now with these two new trials of multivitamins. And most of them do show no health benefit, essentially.
Okay. Well, I guess that's going to hit the people selling the supplements. Thank you very much, Jean Whalen of the Wall Street Journal. Appreciate your time.
One thing that I think is interesting with that, yes, there's a lot of bashing going on.
The company at the center of the live sheep trade scandal is trying to...
One thing to realize, we were talking a little bit about this before, was like the placebo effect. Mm-hmm. So, and, there's been some studies and different things that I've seen on different numbers, but, 30% is what I've heard of supplements, vitamins, pharmaceutical drugs, however you want to look at it, whatever we're taking. And you could even liken that to homeopathic medicine or whatever. There's a 30% placebo effect there as far as it working, which to me, that tells you the power of the mind and how well, your mind is able to heal and cure itself and make use of ingredients. Now,
definitely.
Yeah, now obviously if we're putting junk food into our body, and I guess if you could convince yourself, hey, this pizza is really curing me, or this Twinkie that I'm taking is going to cure my cancer. Maybe there's some effect on the mind there that could be, but I think the reality is everyone knows what's in those and how bad a lot of that junk food is for you.
Yeah.
So that obviously is working to our detriment. It's not helping out. So, but, one thing to remember, yes, there's certain of these supplements that she talks about in this interview and different vitamins that they addressed. It was only on specific multivitamins and certain individual multivitamin ingredients that they were addressing on the study. So in looking at those, yes, some of those may or may not have an impact or an effect, but one thing that they're not taking into consideration is where they're coming from and the source and the type that we were talking about. For example, like vitamin C, is it water absorbable? Is it fat absorbable?
Right.
Is it just the raw ascorbic acid, without the bioflavonoids? Because I believe that makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. And there's all sorts of studies out there. Yes, there's some studies that say, okay, these supplements or these things don't work. They're, foods or other things or placebos or other things are just as effective. Mm-hmm. However, they're not taking into consideration the source and the type of material. And so I kind of look at that, Sam. I go, look, this is like, for example, we've all eaten a garden tomato out of our garden, right? Yeah. And there's a big difference between a garden tomato and a hydroponic tomato that's grown without dirt, and they've just fed it these artificial nutrients to get it to grow. And because it's missing a lot of those key minerals and nutrients, and that's what makes it taste so much better.
Yeah.
So I don't believe supplementation would be necessary unless we're treating a specific condition or we are dealing with prevention on a certain issue. But if we could all grow perfect vegetables in a perfect soil environment and get all those nutrients and eat healthy foods, then supplementation would not be necessary. And that's why it's called supplementation, because we're adding to things to our diet that are missing from our foods that we're not getting on a regular basis because of over-farming, because of how they process these, because of pesticides or other things and other pollutants that we're getting in our body that are causing us harm.
Yeah, you know, I've like even like people that like eat super healthy and even like let's go like supposedly raw vegan, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly that's the healthiest, so we'll just go along with that. And like and even those people like supplement, but I see, you know, kind of touching on this placebo effect.
Yeah.
I think it's the state of the mind that can have this effect. And so like, am I taking these supplements like they're my lifeline? Like, is there a desperateness to it? Because that's going to affect that placebo, right? And it's going to affect the lifestyle. If nothing else, I'm not going to enjoy my life as much.
You mean like if you're locked into that mindset?
If I have to eat a certain way, if I have to do this. Now, you know, granted, some people with certain illnesses, they have to take certain things at exact certain times. Fair enough. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
But with the majority, and I've found that it's often the more healthier eating people, you know, the vegans, vegetarians, that are on this super strict diet. And there's nothing inherently wrong with a strict diet, but do you feel freedom in your life? Like, or is it another bondage? Like,
I know someone totally like that. They go out to eat with their family or friends, and they won't eat things. They'll be like, there's nothing on the menu I can eat.
Yeah.
I can't eat this. I refuse to eat this. They're asking questions. Does this have this in it? Does it have cheese? Is there any milk? Was it even anywhere near an animal or anything like that? Which I respect that.
Fair enough. Yeah,
However, it comes down to exactly what you're saying. It becomes very limiting, and it controls everything with their lifestyle and diet and who they're around or how they can interact with other people. It takes away some of that freedom.
Now, I'm not saying you should be able to eat anything necessarily. Like that's not the converse of this. It's the state at which I live my lifestyle. I eat the foods I eat. Am I choosing this from freedom or because I have to? Right? Some people get a little bothered
when I have to because of health reasons or issues or just a choice.
Well, it could be both. I see even like when we're sick, and like some people can really get bothered by this, but I'm like, to bring the whole God thing into the equation, like, is health food your God? Is health food what's going to heal you? Is health food what's going to give you the lifestyle you want? Because with a lot of people, if you really answer the question honestly, the answer is yes. And there's nothing that replaces the spiritual side of us.
Right.
That power within us that is uncalculable, undefinable. It's way more powerful than any thought, than any physical form, than any diet, any regimen that I can do. And if we think that the physical side is what's bringing the effects, no matter how spiritual we are, I've noticed this lack of awareness with the words we speak, we're discounting this spiritual aspect of us that brings forth the healing, that brings forth the joy, the love, the peace, all that stuff. Food is not the source of that stuff.
Or even being in tune with that to listen to what you should be taking.
Exactly. So there's a big difference between, so let's say, let's go with a vegan lifestyle. Some are called to it, some feel the inner call to it, and they live it because of that. Some do it because it's pitched as the most healthiest, most sustainable, the whole planet, no animals and cruelty and all that. And so they're doing it in resistance to that rather than an answer to a divine call within. So we're just going to go with, let's say that's the healthiest diet, but they entered into that diet, into that way of life in resistance to another way of life. So resistance is still within the cellular makeup of my body, and I'm going to experience resistance to life. I'm still going to suffer. It doesn't matter what I eat. I'm still going to suffer because I entered into that lifestyle in resistance to another.
Interesting. No, that makes sense. So going back to, what people should take, looking at, reading labels, I still believe that it's healthier alternative because we can't get this from our garden and things like that. Yes, try to eat everything that you can that's healthy and not put garbage into your body. Go that route, but don't focus, like if you screw up, it's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Because there's people that totally beat themselves up like, oh, I ate that brownie. Well, it's going to ruin my life, or I'm going to become so miserable, or I'm so ridden with guilt because I did it. And I'm like, no, just let it go. It's okay. People make mistakes, and part of life is it's great to have goals. It's great to be concerned with your health. So I always encourage people, I'm like, look, eat as healthy as you can. And if you're craving a carb or something like that, or cheesecake or brownie every once in a while, eat it.
Or don't, whatever.
Yeah, it's just totally up to you.
Just don't eat it or not eat it in this like fight, right? If you do eat it, oh, I have to judge myself. I totally slipped up. It's like, no, if you eat it, fully choose to eat it. Like, I chose this for myself. And I know it's a bad choice. If nothing else, that judgment is going to make me feel bad in my body. So who knows how much about the food versus the judgment that's causing the feeling in my body afterwards.
And then the other thing is always like, keep moving, stay active, exercise. So the more lethargic we are, if we're just sitting around doing nothing, we're not increasing that blood flow. We're not getting the oxygen to the cells, and we're not getting those nutrients into our body as well. So, I always tell people, look, go to the gym. If that's not your thing, walk, hike, do whatever it is. I've been doing a lot of paddleboard lately with my friend Bill and with some friends and family and stuff like that. So the more active you can be, the better off you're going to be.
I went out with you that one night.
Oh, that was fun. It was, okay. So you can tell the story if you want. It was in the middle of the night, dude.
So midnight, we go out on Deer Creek Reservoir paddleboarding. And it is just like near full moon. I think the full moon was in 2 days.
Like 1 or 2 days, I can't remember.
And it was just so serene. But it was really fascinating. So like mostly for exercise, like hiking's been my thing. Hiking and walking.
Yeah. That's
what I feel. Like I've got a really nice, expensive bike. I love riding it. Well, actually, I left it in Arizona. I'm up here in Utah right now. And I haven't been feeling the bike. And I used to run a lot. Don't feel to run. Feel to hike. And yeah, like it was just so serene out there, having so much fun. What I noticed though, when I came back that night, I was exhausted. I was wondering what it was.
Yeah.
But it's such an amazing whole body workout.
Yeah. So
and you don't even know.
It'll get your entire core. Plus, we were doing some swimming around.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But like I said, like I wasn't like rigorously. I was just going out and going around. And I seriously had no idea I was working my body out that much. But
because you're distracted by it.
It's fun.
So if you can find things like that, like kayaking or anything,
find something fun.
That's why people like rock climbing is very strenuous. But you're not thinking of like, oh my gosh, my arm is burning me. No, you're thinking about I'm going to make it to the top of this.
Right.
And you're not focusing on working out like a gym where you're like, okay, I got to lift this thing. It's a lot of work. Who knows? There's probably people that have fun. I enjoy lifting weights. For me, it's fun. But to me, doing exercises like that where I'm involved with my whole body, I'm functional, I'm doing things, I'm going places, then it distracts you and takes your mind off of the effort that you're putting into it.
Totally agree. So kind of going back to, you were kind of touching on the whole, condition of our soil, and that kind of brings up the need for supplementation. So, like, I'm not going to share the treatise, but I have four aspects that just kind of, in my research, I'm like, I feel these are so key. Okay. And obviously this is biased because it's my view. But, so, as far as supplementation in the soil, so number one, and I know most ladies, right, calcium supplementation.
Yeah.
Most do not know how wrong they're getting it. There's multiple forms of calcium. And like, if you go like crazy into it, like I'm not just talking carbonate, citrate, all that. You can go even more.
Carbonate is basically a rock.
Okay, so this is what I want to touch on. So most, including the Centrum one you saw that on, like they have calcium carbonate. This is rock, like dolomite rock. You know the dolomites in Europe. Like, it's calcium carbonate. It's rock. Like, does your body like rocks? Like, no. So
well, we're made up of it. I mean, there's an extent. However, as far as bioavailability, no, that's probably the least bioavailable.
And so if it's
form
not
of calcium.
bioavailable, your body has to excrete this. Anything that's not usable, like I'm just going to go general. Anything that's not usable.
You just crapped a rock.
Yeah. Anything that's not usable to the body is a toxin that the body must get rid of.
Yeah.
Just like let that sit. If it's not adding to the body, it's a tax on the body's energy. And so this calcium carbonate, like, oh man. So like, and then, so the other one, but calcium, pick a good calcium. So there's citrate.
Citrate is much more absorbable.
I don't supplement with calcium at all, okay? So that's my personal stance. That's how I feel right now. If I felt tomorrow to do it, then I would really research into it.
Sure, obviously the older we get, it's harder for our bodies to make use and absorb some of these supplements. And a lot of it comes down to what you're putting in your body. So if you're not eating a lot of rich, green, leafy vegetables, things like that have a lot of calcium in them, or if you're not eating hardly any meat that has calcium in it as well, then you may need to supplement from an outside source with calcium, so you're getting enough of it.
Yeah, so with calcium...
But if you're getting... So one more thing, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I had this sister when she was younger, like in high school, she was taking these calcium supplements. It was basically, it wasn't citrate, it was just the rock form of it, just pure calcium.
Okay.
And so, from the dolomite source. And she was getting these little calcium deposits underneath her skin. And it was building up all this like calcium all throughout her body. It's called calcification. And that's not a good thing. It's not healthy. It can cause, basically, there's another disease condition, I don't know exactly what it's called, but my wife's grandpa had this where all the cartilage started to harden up and it solidified, but it was because of medication and it had to do with calcium. He was taking these high calcium supplements too that cause that.
Anything that ends in osis, that's the hardening of something, where the body's laying down fibrin as a protection mechanism. Because here's what's going on. So things like arthritis, and I'm not going to super go into arthritis, fibromyalgia, all this stuff. These are calcium deposits that are that obviously raw tissue is rubbing up against, and so it's causing tons of pain. But then the body lays down fibrin tissue to help kind of isolate and protect it,
itself from being rubbed down.
But then you get super stiff because so fibrin, that's scar tissue, and so then you're getting stiff in these areas. And so like even like super stiff muscles, like that's calcification. Like joints and soft tissue is the #1 place your body puts this calcium that it doesn't know what to do with.
Inflammation is a big issue too. So you want to keep that inflammation under control. So if you're putting toxins into your body or things that aren't supposed to be there, it's reacting in this form of inflammation as well. So and stress is a big factor. We talked a little bit about stress. We don't have time to go down the whole stress route, but basically if we're not protecting our bodies and we're not in this mental state, because we talked about part of this is mental as well. Our body's health, everything's tied into our mind. So if we're under a lot of stress, that causes cortisol levels to go up. It causes this inflammation. It leads to all sorts of other diseases and problems. So you want to get the stress under control as well.
So let me finish up with this calcium. It's kind of one of my kicks. So I'm not going to go into which one, but like good calcium, but then what do you need with it? And you're starting to see complexes with this in it. You need magnesium. Magnesium keeps calcium from hardening in solution in the body.
And it aids in the absorbability.
In the absorbability. You need D3. You need K2. These have to go along with the calcium. The D3, K2, those help direct, if it's the right calcium, direct calcium where it needs to be in the body, and it cleans it out and keeps away from where it shouldn't be in the body. It should not be in your arteries. It should not be in your soft tissue. And then another one that much less known, many people don't even know the K2, D3, and magnesium, but fulvic and humic acid. These are organic acids that break down everything, all the organic compounds to their nanoparticle size that allows plants to absorb these nutrients out of the soil. And we need the same stuff to absorb it into our cells. Yeah. So fulvic acid and humic acid, they're starting to get more popular. You can get concentrate supplements in usually liquid form. The form I take it in is in its raw powder, well, one of its sources called Shilajit.
Yeah, I tasted that. It's dirt. It's basically dirt. Guys. It's dirt.
It's a layer in the Himalayas. I think it's found other places, but there's a layer in the Himalayas. It's brown. It's kind of tarry actually when it's coming out. And this is the one I have. It's cold water extracted, and so it's 50% humic and fulvic acid, just raw right out. They don't need to do any extraction. And so
You talked about eating rocks and like eliminating and people getting rid of a rock. You are putting dirt into your body. I'm just kidding. But it's the humic acid that goes along with the dirt that's essential and beneficial.
Exactly. Well, okay. So, and obviously when you do the supplement form in the liquid, they're going to add the trace minerals.
One thing, Sam, though, is that dirt or the humic acid that's in that dirt that you're consuming, if you eat the apple seed core, the apple tree really will grow in your stomach.
Yeah. So,
because you provided a base for it.
Yeah. So where the Shilajit's coming from is it's millions of years old organic material, trees, all that stuff, crushed down, and then breaking down, and so that's why the high fulvic and humic acid is. This is organic material that's been compressed over, thousands, millions of years, whatever, and this Shilajit. Spelled Shilajit.
Yeah. It's legit.
It's too legit. So I really like that because it's got all your trace minerals. It's got it the way nature put it together.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm okay with doing isolates and some things and extracts, but like that's just the raw form. And so that's how I get my humic and fulvic acid.
Perfect.
Even though like I'm not doing the whole calcium thing, but fulvic acid particularly, there's a ton of study on fulvic acid, a little bit less on humic acid. These are massive detoxifiers of the body. Like, I'll just be simple and imagine, and so there's other things you got to do to make sure your gut and stuff can take this. But, imagine, toxins being stored in pockets in your body. Those go and open up those pockets and allow it to start draining. So, obviously, you need good gut health. You need good stuff in your body to be able to take those toxic
and then if you're treating specific conditions, that's where you want to supplement as well. Like we talked about the multiflex for arthritis, joint issues, problems. If you're having difficulty sleeping, we have an amazing sleep product called Somarest. And then last night was the first time you tried. Yeah, this was the HGH Complete product. So what it is, it's a precursor releaser. And I wanted Sam to try that last night. And he was like, oh, dude, I slept better than I've ever slept.
Yeah, usually when I wake up, it's the whole the gradual, whatever. And this morning, all of a sudden I was awake, and so big difference. I could tell big difference, and so I could tell it was doing. And sleep is when your body regenerates. So that's when your body's
repairing, rebuilding itself. Yeah. Human growth hormone is primarily released during deep REM sleep. So if you're looking for that product, that basically helps our bodies repair, rebuild, and restore itself. It's called HGH Complete. But I think we kind of need to wrap it up for the show. I think we covered it. But we talked about having Sam on here next week and getting more into, we were going to talk about the spiritual side, spiritual health. We're going to address that a little bit. And stress and how your mind handles and processes and controls our body and our health. And we'll be discussing and getting into that.
The ultimate spiritual anti-inflammatory.
Exactly.
We're gonna help you feel much better from a wholeness perspective rather than just approaching the physical aspect of it.
Exactly. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in and watching today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We'll try to get back to you. And also, if you're interested in any of the products that we talked or discussed about today, you can find that at highenergylabs.com or, go to our Facebook page as well. So thanks for watching. Guys, have a great rest of your week.
Take care.